Oh boy, oh boy. So, this is Blake Cat 555 talking about more bullshit. I feel like some video game characters are given less respect than they deserve. And one of those characters, hear me out, is Johnny Cage from Mortal Kombat. Now, some people want to judge the power inconsistency of Johnny Cage, but I don't know much about the Midway timeline, but specifically in NetherRealm, I feel like his powers are at least somewhat consistent. In Mortal Kombat 9, he got his ass kicked constantly, which is fine. I mean, I feel like especially in that game, the arcade endings might have been somewhat consistent with the characters. But, the people want to talk about Johnny Cage beating Scorpion or Sub-Zero, like at the beginning of MK10, or Shinnok, or this, that, and the other thing. But I kind of want to make a point about this. Okay. So first of all, I don't believe that Shinnok was all that powerful to begin with. Let's start with Shinnok. Shinnok was defeated in his base form by Johnny Cage, and then defeated in his corrupted form by Cassie Cage. They share that green magic given to them by the, I think it was Mediterranean gods. But then in MK11 Aftermath, in MK11, okay, let's start with the MK11 base story. So in MK11 base story, Jax or Jackie, whichever you chose, needed Kronika's crown to stand a chance against Cetrion, which ultimately the crown, if I remember correctly, got taken. Now, in Aftermath, it's revealed that Sindel is one of the only mortals that can harm an Elder God. I'm not sure why that is, but that is the truth. And then there's the discussion of Kitana beating Shao Kahn in MK11 base story. Kitana blinded Shao Kahn, I guess, but didn't kill him. I guess that was the easier way to defeat Shao Kahn as opposed to killing him. As shown in other games, Shao Kahn is very hard to kill unless it's by the Elder Gods. Like in MK9 when Raiden fights them with the Elder Gods' help. And so that makes Shao Kahn a pretty powerful foe too. And he can withstand at least some of the power of the Elder Gods. So let's run it back to Johnny. So he was defeated a lot of times in MK9, which is fine. He was a fucking asshole and an idiot. And then in MKX, he was able to defeat Scorpion Sub-Zero, but there was a difference, I believe. Maybe their Revenant selves might have been weaker than their real selves. I'm not sure. I mean, it was all based on Quan Chi's control, and Quan Chi was already weakened at that point, I think. Um, as they referred to him in the game as a withered sorcerer. It was granted when they referred to him as withered, it was later in the game, but his powers might have been weakened quite a bit, and considering that the Revenants were based on Quan Chi and they were brought back, uh, it might have been a different animal there. I'm not sure. I mean, in Mortal Kombat, there's just power inconsistencies in general. But that might have explained why he was able to defeat Scorpion and Sub-Zero in Chapter 1. They were Revenants. The Revenants are pretty weak in general, honestly. They're just jobbers. That's what they are. And then Johnny Cage is able to defeat Shinnok, which, I mean, it is... I don't think Shinnok was all that powerful to begin with. At least I don't think. I mean, him as a final boss, the corrupted Shinnok, it might have been his powers that counteracted it. Him and Cassie. I really don't know. Just that whole thing is kind of confusing. I wouldn't say it's total bullshit, but it is kind of confusing. Now, we'll get back, so we'll go from there, right, after Johnny and Cassie defeat Shinnok and corrupted Shinnok, and then head over to Mortal Kombat 11. Now, Johnny in Mortal Kombat 11, his track record is defeating his past self, which, honestly, that's a discussion for another time. Because Mortal Kombat 11 showed that harming a past self could harm a future self, and that just made no sense how Johnny could just beat himself up without hurting his future self. So I don't really get that. Maybe it was further down in the time merger. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. But then we see that in MK11 Aftermath, he is defeated by Sindel or Shao Kahn. That doesn't seem out of the park for me. Because, and here's why. Here is why. Shinnok, let's just say it. Shinnok seems really pathetic. He's not as all powerful. I think it's just his powers that made him strong, not his combat. And, I mean, that might make sense. It's like, I really hate to use this comparison, but Raiden as a mortal in the Mortal Kombat Legends movie, Battle of the Realms, he was much weaker. You see how vulnerable he can be. So, I mean, it might have been an instance of that, But then Kronika mentions to Cetrion that Sindel is one of the only mortals who can harm her. Which means Sindel is capable of harming any of the Elder Gods. So, the fact that Shao Kahn can withstand the power of multiple Elder Gods within Raiden, and then Sindel is one of the only mortals that can harm an Elder God, that makes sense as to why Johnny Cage was unable to defeat them. Maybe it was all about Shinnok's power as opposed to his physical strength in combat. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's just me really liking this character. I like Johnny Cage, But, I mean, I guess with all Mortal Kombat characters, there are some power inconsistencies, but there's at least an explanation for what's going on with Johnny Cage and Cassie Cage in particular. I mean, that's how I like to think about it, I guess. That's just my take on it. I would love to hear what you think in the comments if any of these videos besides the Tate one decides to blow up, because honestly, I feel like just putting Tate in the title blew that video up. But for those of you that do watch this video, I'd love to hear what you think. Okay, like, Mortal Kombat fans, come one, come all. I just want to know your take on the situation. I'm going to defend Johnny Cage until the day I die. He's fun to play as. He's very funny. And I can't say that I really like his movie references, but I don't think his power is inconsistent. It may be in some forms, but in most instances of the story, I just don't think so. Anyways, this is Blake the Cat 555 getting the hell out of here. Hope to hear what you guys think. See you later.